7 years I worked for ECW, and I can honestly say that, you know, there's a lot of stories about Paul. At 9 o'clock, an hour later, he sends me a script, and he's like, "You're going to do backstage interviewing," and I was like, "I don't have a voice."
It's Gabby AF.
We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF. We about to get Gabby AF, Gabby AF.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Gabby AF. I am super excited this week to bring on my friend Francine into Gabby AF. We're friends now.
We are friends now. We're going to follow each other on socials. We're going to text each other all the time. It's going to be wonderful.
Listen, I tell everybody, be careful what you wish for with me because I'm a big texter. So we'll be chatting way too much and I'll just be like, this is what I have for dinner tonight. And I'll just send it your way.
Photos, babe. I love looking at food, especially since I can't eat food right now. I love looking at it.
Why can't you eat food?
So I have this thing called SIBO.
Okay.
It's
I never heard
all
of that before.
intestinal bacterial overgrowth.
Interesting.
And been fighting it probably for years, but just got diagnosed maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And they have me on like this special diet, and it's a bland diet, and no spices, no flavors, no nothing. I cheat. I've been cheating once in a while, but when I do, I bloat.
Right.
And it's painful to eat certain foods.
That's awful.
And I'm a foodie girl. Like, I love eating. I'm
same.
Italian, so I love to eat. I love, you know, my pastas and my carbs and all that. And I can't.
I would literally cry because, first of all, I knew we'd get along. I'm Italian too, and I'm a huge foodie. If I couldn't have like pasta and pizza, that's literally all I ever want. Like, people ask me like, "Oh, are you a big sweets person?" And I'm like, "Nah, I don't give a shit about having any sweets. I don't need the dessert. I'd rather have another bowl of pasta than fill up on dessert." Actually, me and Bubba Ray,
I love him. I just was with him.
Well, we're gonna talk about that, but he's my food guy. Like, we just will send pictures of each other of pizza and food, and then we just send. Did you ever see the movie Fatso?
Oh, is that Dom DeLuise?
Yeah, that's like, we quote that movie to each other every time when we're eating too much food, because that's like our thing.
Life.
But
food is life. I love
food is life.
Yes.
And I'm in New Jersey, so I get some of the best Italian food here.
Food is very enjoyable. Like, there's nothing better to me, because I'm also a homebody. Like, I go out once in a while. I don't really, I go out when I'm on the road.
Right.
Working.
Of course,
but when I'm not, I'm a mom and I have my kids and my husband. A perfect night is like takeout and like a good doc or a good comedy special and just sitting on the couch, just stuffing my face with food.
So good. Do you watch crime documentaries?
No, they scare me.
Oh, I love them.
You know what's funny? You don't have children, right?
No.
Okay. So before I had kids, I loved horror movies. Like,
I love them so
much.
Loved
Horror movies, and trauma. Like, I loved trauma films and like real gory horror movies.
Yeah.
I had my kids, and now everything scares me. Because I think, oh my God, what if that could happen to my kids?
Yeah.
It's so crazy how moms think
that way. How everything changes when you're a mom, I'm sure.
It does. Yeah. And like, I'm like, but I really used to enjoy like horror stuff, and now I can't watch it because like the killing freaks me out.
That's crazy to me, because I don't think I could ever not. I understand it too with like true crime documentaries. Like, I love them, but I'm sure if I had like a daughter, I wouldn't love them, because I'd be like, what if this happened to her? I would never let her leave the house. Like
I put my kids into that position. I'm like, oh no, I don't watch that kind of stuff anymore. So I haven't watched a horror movie since my daughter's going to be 16 years old. I mean, it's really long. It just freaks me out.
Yeah.
I'm so weird. I don't know.
No, I think that's normal. I mean, it makes sense. I also haven't seen a good horror movie, I will say, in a long time. Like, there haven't been any good ones where I'm like, wow, that was amazing. So I feel like they're dying down in the scary movie realm. Everyone loves the Terrifier movies. So if you liked gore, I feel like you would love the Terrifier movies.
Yeah, I used to. I mean, we just watched a doc on like, I don't know what it was called, like the 100 best kill scenes or what. So
I
like
love that so much.
yeah, like the docs I'll watch because it's just like a minute. I
Right.
close my eyes for a minute. There's no story
Right.
to it. But to sit down and watch an hour and a half of just kill, 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 like I just can't do that anymore. And
Yeah.
it pisses me off because I used to enjoy it, and now
That's
it
so
freaks me
funny.
out. I know I am so weird in my brain. Like
I
I
don't
don't
think it's weird, but they do say, I guess, when you get older, things change. They say,
know.
your palate changes and maybe your opinion on movies happens to change too because you don't like the scary stuff anymore. I love
No,
scary movies.
yeah,
I'm a big scary movie buff.
yeah,
Speaking of scary, Mother
yes.
A. Dudley. No, I'm just kidding. But you just saw him, obviously. You just made your appearance in the ECW Arena
Yeah.
for NXT. You haven't been there in a very long time.
Well, that's not true.
It's not? Okay.
No, we were
So,
there. Geez, we were there in April.
oh, okay. I thought that was
Yeah.
your first. We can
No,
edit this
no,
so I don't sound as
we
stupid.
2 years ago was my first time back there in like 16 years. I hadn't been there
Right.
in, like such a long time. And I did one of the icon of wrestling
Oh, okay.
things. And then for WrestleMania this year, I was booked in Philly
Hmm.
for WrestleCon, but I was also booked for the Icons and Battleground show. So I
Nice.
kind of had double duty, and we went over there and we did the show there. But um, I acted like I was just like, wow, look at that, look
Yeah,
at
yeah, yeah. Well, it was your first time with a WWE appearance, I would say, right? Back at
it,
ECW?
since '06.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was
That's
under
a long
contract.
time.
Yeah, I was under contract for the fake EC dub in
Hmm.
2006. We all know how that turned out. And then yeah, this is the first appearance I've made for them in a really long time. So
So, yeah, so talk about it a little bit. How was it? How was it being there? How was the show for you?
yeah, so super excited to be included.
Hmm.
When I got the phone call, um, they had pitched the referee position,
Mm.
and because of my stomach, because of the SIBO, plus I've had, if you include my children, I've had 5 abdominal surgeries because
Wow.
3 of them were to fix my abs because my kids were 10 pounds and 9 pounds
Wow.
collectively, and they're big
Yeah.
things. Um,
Yeah.
so my abdominal region wasn't together, it was apart.
Mm.
And I went in to have it repaired, and it wouldn't stick. So they had to do it
Oh.
again the year after, didn't work again. The third time they put pig mesh, it was pig skin
That's
to bind
crazy.
it. And the
Uh-huh.
pig skin is supposed to last like 4 to 5 years, and then it just dissolves into your body. It's natural, it's healthy, whatever.
Right.
Um, so my core is extremely weak. I have so much scar tissue that I could not get down to count
Wow.
in a timely manner. And I was
Yeah.
telling them, I said, look, I don't want to look stupid or slow
Hmm.
or whatever. Like, this isn't for me. I'm going to have to decline. And then they were like, well, you can do something else. Well, you're booked. We'll get back to you. So I was like, okay. So like 2.5 weeks go by. I haven't heard anything. And I'm
Wow.
just like, well, I guess I'll just show up and see what happens.
Yeah.
I had been in Rhode Island that weekend and I completely lost my voice.
Oh.
I have like laryngitis, right? I have
Oh
no
my
voice.
God.
The night before NXT, that Tuesday night at 9 o'clock, I think it was, or 8 o'clock,
Hmm.
I get a text message. Here's a script. No, 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 I'm sorry. Have you heard from Johnny Russo, who is the head writer?
I
And I
know
was like,
Johnny. Yeah.
okay. I was like, no, I haven't heard from anyone. This was John Cohn texting me, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, stand by. John's going to get a hold of you. So I was like, okay. At 9 o'clock, an hour later, he sends me a script and he's
Oh
like, you're
my
going to do
God.
backstage interview. And I was like, I don't have a voice. And this is the worst thing ever because I can't
Oh
work and
my
I can't talk
God.
and I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm going to do. So I told them, like, if you don't want me to come, I understand.
Right.
And they were like, no, just come. We'll do something with you. And then I was like, okay. And I got there, super early the next day because I went with Guido.
Hmm.
And one of the first people I saw was Shawn Michaels, and I just apologized profusely. I was like, "I'm
Oh.
so sorry." And he's just like, "You can just stand there and look pretty. It's fine. Just stand there." And I was just like, "Oh, what an opportunity blown." Like I
Yeah.
could have done so much more, but I was just happy to have gotten the call, been included, and
Hmm.
I did get to go out and cheer with the crowd, and woo, I
Yeah.
got to watch the girls match, the
Yes.
women's match, up close and personal, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a good time, and everybody was super nice. And
Yeah. That's
the
great.
girls, they impressed me so much. Like you see them on TV and stuff, but like in
Yeah.
person, I was just like, wow, they were all super sweet. Some of them had ECW gear on, which I thought was adorable because they were
Awesome.
doing the throwback, you know, and it
Hmm.
was just a fun night, and just super happy to be included.
Yeah, we loved seeing you. Like, I thought they made it a big deal that you were there too. You know, they showed you up, they made the announcement that you were coming. So it's crazy that you could have been doing other stuff because obviously we didn't know that they had other plans and that's
Yeah.
why you couldn't. But I think it all worked out in the sense of, I think the way they used a lot of the ECW veterans, like Bully and Dawn, like it was perfect how it ended up going.
Mhm.
You said you got to sit front row and center of that match. Who's your NXT female standout right now that you got your
You know, I can't say enough about those girls. Like all of them were so super nice. Like there was,
yeah.
you go in some locker rooms and you think there's going to be one bitch, right? There wasn't.
Oh,
Everybody was so super sweet. And, even though my voice was kind of like, I got
hmm,
to sit down and I got to know a couple of them, because a lot of them were busy with what they were doing. So we got to
right.
talk a little bit. But there were so many, like Carmen, I sat down with for a while, and she
Hmm.
was so sweet. And I learned about like how she got into the business. She wasn't
Yeah.
a wrestler, like she wasn't even trained and stuff. So she was telling
Hmm.
her story, and they were just so eager to work and to be there, and just had great attitudes. And I was just,
Yeah.
man, this locker room is really cool to be in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't sense any animosity, any jealousy. Like it was just a fun atmosphere. Um, Everybody seemed to have gotten along. Now, granted, I was only there one day, so I
Right.
don't really know the ins and outs. But to me, from the outside looking in, it looked like a great locker room.
Yeah,
So,
and it comes across on screen, I think, too, because they really are every week when I'm watching NXT, like you can tell that those girls are just working their asses off because the improvements that I see from some of them, even just within a few months of being there, it's
right.
like really incredible to watch. And like you said, a lot of them are other athletes in college and then they get scouted into wrestling. So they're just like natural athletes, and like some of them are soccer, gymnastics, like they're not trained wrestlers until they graduate and they're like, "Oh, I want to do this now." So it's pretty amazing to see, but that I feel like that showed NXT, like you could feel the energy in the arena like on the screen, which
Yeah.
I thought was really cool because like obviously I've only been to the ECW Arena a couple times. I've never been a manager there, like you haven't been doing things, but you guys know it's such a special place to have a show and to wrestle in, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's like everybody talks about like Madison Square Garden as being
Yeah.
like the greatest arena. And I've been there, when I worked for WWE, we were there.
Right.
To me, like all the bigger arenas, like nothing hits home like the ECW arena,
Mm,
just because I enjoy the smaller buildings because of the intimacy. Like
right.
you can literally look out into the crowd and like just make eye contact with people, make connections with people. Those people were part of our show, you know.
Right.
It was more intimate, more personal. Um, I don't know, there was just something about that building that always stood out to me, and I just loved performing there, even though 30 years ago it was a cesspool of disgusting filth.
Yeah.
And
It's
like
Philly.
I was telling the girls, like, well, no, not even that. It was
I know, I'm just joking.
I was born in Philadelphia, mind you.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
All
step
right. So I
back,
can't
girl.
make too many Philly jokes, I guess. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, but years ago, we're
Yeah.
talking years ago. But I was telling the girls, because it was funny because when we were in the locker room, somebody had said, "Oh, the toilet's clogged. I told somebody to come up and fix it." And
Yeah.
that's kind of like two. I think there's four bathrooms upstairs or whatever. And I was like, you're lucky we even have bathrooms. I said, because when I was here, we had an outhouse. You had to leave the backstage area and walk. And there was this little toilet, no sink, no mirror, no,
Oh my
like it was
God.
disgusting.
That's so gross.
Oh yeah, it was so gross. We had no, we hardly had outlets. We didn't have hair and makeup, right? So we all had our, I don't know if you're probably too young to remember caboodles.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, caboodle is, we all had caboodles. So a caboodle is a makeup case with a mirror. And
Okay.
when you opened it, the mirror would pop up and the sides would come out and you would put all your makeup in this.
Wow.
They still sell them today.
I know when you say it, I just didn't know that was the name for it because I've never heard that. Caboodle sounds like a type of chip or something. Like it sounds delicious, but it's not.
Sounds like a food, right?
Yeah.
But we all had these caboodles and we would go in the back and the lighting was really bad and we didn't care. We would just do our hair and man. We didn't know what we were doing hair and makeup wise either.
Yeah.
Look at the film. I mean, it's just horrible.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's such a different time now. It's so crazy to see. Like, do you like when you watch now and like I know you said you dabble in the current product and like you watch sometimes, like do you ever watch some of the managers and you're it kind of brings you back, or there's people that you're like, you watch and you're like, oh, imagine like we were working at the same time kind of thing. Or there's somebody that you watch now that you were like, I wish I could have been their manager at that time because like you guys would have been good together.
Yeah. So well, first of all, I am appalled by the lack of managers.
Yes.
That they
agreed.
I remember when I broke in, I was actually going to wrestling school to be a female wrestler. That's what my mindset was. And I was training. And when I met Paul Heyman, he said, like, you're not going to be a wrestler. He goes, female wrestling doesn't sell. And this is 1993, 94, 95, right? He's like, it doesn't sell. Nobody really wants to watch the females work. You're going to be a manager, and that's how you're going to make your money. And so I was just like, really? I said, well, I thought I was going to be this wrestler. And he's like, no, you're not. I was like,
wow.
Okay. Well, I feel like that was the right decision at that time.
Right.
But my heart was kind of, I thought I was going to be like the next Sherry Martel with the working and wrestling and doing it all. And I did get to wrestle a little bit in ECW, but more on the manager side. But like today, I always tell like Brian Myers or Nick Nemeth or those guys, I'm like, yeah, we're going to work together one day. And I did get to work with Brian for the first time in West Virginia, Bash at Beckley, I think it was called. We did the Bash, and I managed him and Shane Douglas. And I love what he's doing in TNA with the system, like that stuff.
So good.
So good. I love it. And I told him, I was like, yeah, you took notes from the Triple Threat for this little thing you got going on. He's like, oh, no doubt. And I was like, yeah. But I love it. I love it because they put their own spin on it and it's fun to watch. It's really good stuff. I mean, using females though as managers, I feel like it's a lost art. I don't know why people don't do it more. I know a lot of the girls want to work, as a wrestler, but there are girls that I think would be awesome on the outside of the ring because you never know when they're going to get on the inside, and that keeps their hands on the edge of their seats.
Right.
And I like that aspect. That
I agree.
Know what she's going to do. Is she going to get physical? Is she going to jump in there? It's kind of like a lost art today.
I actually agree with you on that. And I think a lot of times if they'll pair somebody with someone, it's almost to make them like it's another female wrestler and they're like the muscle as opposed to being a manager or someone with like a mouth on them and has the attitude. Like I used to think that I loved Zelina Vega as a manager. I thought when she would do it with Andrade, like I thought she was one of the most entertaining people to watch because she's so good on the mic, but because she's so little and she's a wrestler, she could take those nasty bumps sometimes and do like throw out a move and do something like crazy. Like she was someone I was instantly like connected with on that end, that I thought she was phenomenal at that. But you're 100% right that it's kind of like a lost art in a sense. You don't see that anymore. So I think you got to come back into the game. I think that's just what we got to call up Tommy at TNA and be like,
oh my gosh.
Back in.
Yeah, he
managed Tommy, so he knows.
I did at one point. Yeah, I had a discussion with him about it, and he was just like, "Well, there has to be a payoff. And I was like, look, my bumping days are over. Like, and he's just like, well, there goes your job. And I was like, all right, see you later. You
That's
know,
so funny.
I just, you know, I'm at the point, I'm 52 years old. Like that's
And
not,
you look amazing.
oh, well, thank you. But that, I don't think my body wants to go through hell and back again. Like
Yeah.
I'm still trying to recover from the damage
From
that
it.
happened in the 90s.
Yeah. Yeah. I took a bump one time. I went to Bubba's school for like a few hours and all he did was show me how to take a bump. And I felt pain in places of my body the next day that like I didn't know existed. And that was taking a bump. Like that's it. It was just
Like a back
simple,
bump?
like whatever. Yeah, just a back bump. He just
Yeah.
showed me how to do it. I didn't run the ropes. I didn't do anything crazy. And like I came into pro wrestling later in my life and made this job out of it. So like I wish I knew about it when I was a little bit younger and way more athletic. Because I would have loved to try and do something and train and do these kinds of things. But like I don't think people realize the toughness that it does take even to just take a bump. It's not, it sounds like it's simple and it's not at all. So I get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not normal to fall. Like
Right.
every time, I don't care what these guys say, like every time you take a bump, your body goes through trauma.
Right.
Because it's not normal to fall. No matter how safe the bump is, it's still not normal to throw your body a certain way and land.
Right.
It's just not. So like you know, I didn't do as much as the guys did, obviously, but I was so much more tinier than they were. So the bumps that I did take, I mean, I have 2 herniated discs and arthritis. I went and got an x-ray. The doctor was like, do you know you have arthritis through your whole body? And I was like, I think I'm aware of that. Yeah.
Add it to the list at this point.
Yeah, because why? And like, I don't really like to tell what I've done, but like my husband's like, you have to tell these people because they need to know what your body went through. And I'm just like, you know, and like my hip, like Bam Bam Bigelow threw me and I fractured my pelvis in 2 places. So
oh my gosh.
For 7 weeks, I was on crutches because it heals naturally. You can't do it out. But now they, you know, they say, well, you might have to get a hip replacement. So I'm just like, well, great. So I went over.
Well, great.
I went over to like Rothman Institute and I had to get x-rays. I had to get x-rays of my hip area for the pelvis, you know, because that's where it bothers me.
Yeah.
And I had to pull my pants down. So I'm standing there in my underwear and the doctor, he goes, I'll be right back. And I go, okay.
That does not sound good.
He goes outside in the hallway and I hear, yeah. Blah, blah, blah. And he comes back in and he goes, do you realize that I was at the ECW Arena when you broke your pelvis? And I was just like, shut up. Oh Here I am standing in my underwear.
Stop.
Like, I had to call my friend because my friend was with me at the arena and we saw. What are the odds that the doctor was
that's crazy
the show that I broke my pelvis? So anyway, I was embarrassed because here I am in my underwear and he's just like, don't worry about it. But he's like, you probably will have to get a hip replacement. Thanks. I'll be back when it's due. I'll be back.
Yeah. So maybe a little bit of time. We'll see you back in managing. We're going to need some.
I mean, once in a while I have to, like, I'll manage Shane because when you do these conventions, they'll say, well, we'll book you for the convention, but you have to work the show. And I'm just like, oh, really? Do I have to? Well, yeah, you have to. So once in a while I'll go out there, but we're very careful because I mean, Shane's one of my best friends. He knows my whole situation. So they work around me. So I can slap someone. I can choke someone.
Yeah. You could do the offense. It's just the defense that's a little bit.
Though I feel like I'll break in half.
Oh man, yeah, that would not be great. We don't want to see that, you know.
No,
like that's.
I don't want to see that either.
It's the laryngitis. It's everything. It's all the same.
Girl, Gabby, let me tell you, I am a hot mess. I'm a hot mess. I own up to it. I try my best every day.
Yeah, listen,
I'm a mess.
You're talking to another hot mess. My show is literally Gabby AF because that's what that means. That I'm literally a hot mess of a human being just trying to.
You have the perfect person on your show.
I didn't even know we had this bond that we have through food and being crazy people. So like we kind of should be really good friends at this point now.
We will for life. We will totally.
Well, you mentioned Paul Heyman, and you can't even talk about managers without talking about Paul Heyman. He's one of the greatest of all time. Yes. I can't believe it's almost been a year already that he was just inducted into the Hall of Fame for
Yes.
WWE. Talk
Yep.
a little bit about your relationship with Paul. Obviously, you worked very closely together. I'm sure that was great to see, and that's your friend. So, like, how is it today?
Yeah. So I was at 7 years I worked for ECW. And I can honestly say that, there's a lot of stories about Paul, like he wouldn't take people's calls, or he'd pretend he'd be on the phone to avoid talking to people, like certain. But I like with me, like he always picked up the phone.
Yeah.
He always listened. He was there if I needed someone to talk to. Like he was more than a boss,
That's amazing.
and
Yeah.
just we had a really good relationship. I could go to him, whether it be like an idea or trouble or whatever, and he would always take the time to listen to me. And that's no BS. Like that's the one thing about Paul that I will never forget. And he also took a 20-year-old kid who had no experience whatsoever,
Right.
and he gave me the ball and let me run with it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I will never bury Paul. Like, the only thing that upsets me, the way it went down at the end, like
Right.
to everybody, that's upsetting, right? Because ECW was like my life. It was
Right.
everything to me. But I will never sit here and, call Paul names or say anything nasty. I love Paul. He was the best boss I've ever had in wrestling. That was the best locker room I've ever been in wrestling. Super happy for him in his role now. I have not talked to him in quite a long time. Wanted to talk to him this past weekend, but he was like, we were calling him the Great and Mighty Oz,
Oh my
because
gosh.
at the big event, he was behind this curtain. And you couldn't, like, I didn't see him, like,
So fancy.
couldn't get to him. It was one of the photographers said, "Oh, I tried to get back there. They denied me." And I was like, "Oh my God." I said, "Could you imagine we go up there and they're like, no, you cannot." I would be mortified.
That,
Like all the
yeah.
fans, like, no. So we didn't even go back there.
Funny.
His line
Was
was
probably
all the
insane.
way around the friggin'
Yeah.
room. It was just like crazy. And we left when I left, the line was still going. So I didn't even get to see him. But believe me,
Yeah.
I'm super happy for him. Like, he's so talented. He's a creative genius. He's Paul.
Yeah.
You know.
There's nobody else like him, which it's very like it's crazy to have somebody like that in the business where like they are literally so unique in what they do and so good at it
So
that
good.
you can't even really compare him to anybody else. He just
I
is just a
can't.
standalone talent.
Yeah.
Have you been watching any stuff he's been doing with like the bloodline and everything
Yes.
lately?
So I don't regularly watch the show, but I do catch clips.
Yeah.
And I keep up with socials with WWE, NXT, TNA, whoever, AEW, all
All
these
of them.
feds,
All of them.
whoever else is out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we were saying, when he took the bump, when they picked him up and put him through the table, I was just like, man, how long is he going to be out for? Like, how are they going to milk this for like years? Like, got to bring him back because he's such a draw,
Yes.
But yeah, he's phenomenal. There's no one who can speak like him.
Right.
And you know what the funny part is? I don't know if you know him. Okay.
I've never met him before. He's like someone I would love to meet, but
yeah. So I always say, like, the way he delivers his promo is the way he would talk to you.
That's amazing.
To me, that's how I was. My co-host Chad, he was like, like the person's different. Like, I feel like the person's different from the character. I was like, that intensity that he has when he speaks, he made you feel like you were the only person in the ring and you were the most important person in the ring. That's the way Paul was, whether it was bullshitting or not.
Right.
You felt like you were so important. And I always said, you should be a motivational speaker somewhere. Like, you're so good.
Yeah.
Like, he's really, really good. But when I see him cutting his promos, I'm just like, he could have a conversation with me. And that's the same voice that I hear in my head. Like, it's so weird. Like, that's Paul.
I think that's why it works for him so well. And he's so good at it because it is so natural. Like, I think that that's, if I ever do meet him one day or get to have him on my podcast or chat with him, I feel like the person I see on TV is the person I'm going to be talking to. Like, he's just the same person. But that's why he's so good, because it's just natural. It's not fake. It doesn't come off as a character. It doesn't come off cheesy or like forced. Like, he's just so good, and he's just a badass, like in the suit, and he's just like an asshole, but you kind of love him because he's hilarious. Like, he's like, oh, the best. He's every Jersey guy.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's organic.
Yeah.
It's just natural. Him delivering a promo, like, you can't even look at his face and say he's thinking.
Right.
Because it's just like diarrhea of the mouth. It's just coming out without any thought process.
Right.
I can't do it like that.
Like, I don't think most people can.
No, like, he's just got that gift. You know what I mean? And he knows talent. He knows how to create stars. And that's why it was so sad when we went bankrupt, because we had so much more to give. And I feel like Paul had so much more to give us to do as well, as the company and, you know, in general. But, you know, he moved on to something fantastic, and I wouldn't be where I am without him. So I give him all the praise in the world.
Yeah.
Never bash him.
That's amazing. And the fact that he, like you said, was the best boss and always there for you and always took your phone call, it just shows the kind of character of a person. Because at the end of the day, someone can say that they want to help you or say that they're there for you, and then their actions are very different. So I'm glad to know that he is that person that really was such a pillar in your life, because he was such a pillar for ECW at the end of the day. Like, he couldn't have even had it without him. So that's crazy to know. But I always think of Tommy Dreamer as well when I think of ECW, who's also a shared friend of ours that we were making fun of before the show. So I always shout out Tommy when I talk to anybody about ECW stuff, because that's how I met you. Even though it was brief, I met you because of Tommy at one of the big events or something like that.
Yeah,
but
I'm mad about that meeting. We'll have to do it again, because that wasn't good.
I know. I'm going to tell him,
like a split second and you were gone, and I don't know what happened.
I just like go with that. You had a busy table. You had a lot of fans there. I wasn't trying to.
Yeah.
I'm going to text Tommy after the show and be like, she was very mean to me. She was awful. So she didn't even remember meeting me. And he's going to be like, damn, I knew it. That Francine. But he's the best. But before I let you go, I know you mentioned you are a mom, and you know you had to transition from career to motherhood. I can't believe you have a 16-year-old daughter, because you look so amazing. Like, it's crazy to me.
She will be 16.
She will be 16.
Yes,
okay.
She'll be 16. My son's 12, and I wanted 5 children, but I was cut off at 2.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted this like huge family, but I didn't meet my husband until I was 34 years old.
Wow.
And we got married when I was like 36. And then I had my daughter at 37. I had my son at 40. And, you know, at that time, and maybe even today, they put you at high risk. Like, I was at the doctors every week getting stress tests done. And it really ruins the
experience,
happiness of being pregnant. Because I loved being pregnant, but then that kind of is a bummer. It's like, oh, I gotta go to the doctor's office then. So by the time my son was born, I was like, do you want one more? My husband's like, I think we're done. And I was just like, oh, but I swear to you, if I would have met him earlier, I would have had 5 kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where did you meet your husband?
I met him through his sister. His sister was living in Philly at the time. And we just started talking. And he lived in California. And he said, well, what if I come see and I was only talking to him. And he says, what if I come see my sister? Will you come meet me for dinner? And I was just like, wow. Okay. And flew over and I met, you know, I was with the sister. I met him. And then I told him, well, you're going to have to move to the East Coast if you want to keep this going. And he moved.
Wow. See, like that. I love that. Like, if you know you want something, you just make it happen. That doesn't happen anymore. I'm telling you, it's not. Dating is hard. I know.
You make it happen. I told him, I said, look, my whole family's on the East Coast. He's Midwest. So he's Illinois. But I was
that's probably why he's so sweet.
Well, he was already going to California away from his family, but I wanted to remain near mine. And I just said, listen, either move here or It's not going to work.
Wow.
And I not being hateful, but I'm not moving to California because I'm not going
Right.
to. He moved. So now we got 2 kids and we're married 16 years and
Wow. That's
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice.
Very lucky to find that.
I am.
Are either of your children interested in wrestling at all? No. That's a hard no.
No,
So funny.
they
When
don't
I
even
ask
want to
people,
watch it.
they don't want to, are they interested in like your career, like from when you did it? Like, do they watch it and want to know? Or are they just like, oh, mom was cool back in the day and did cool
Yeah,
stuff?
back in the day, they think it's cool that I have like, so many followers on Twitter or
Yeah,
X.
yeah, yeah. Social media.
Yeah, that I was on TV. They think it's cool if an action figure comes out. But like my daughter says, why would I want to watch you get beat up? And I said, because
It's true.
I'm okay.
Right.
I'm here. And she said, me watching you physically get hurt is not something I'm interested in.
Wow.
Point blank. She's like, I don't want to see it. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
cool. So they're not interested in wrestling. My husband likes it,
Hmm.
fan. My kids, no interest whatsoever. And I'm okay with that.
Right.
I'm fine with that because I don't want them in the locker room. Like,
Yeah.
stay away. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they have their own likes and their own dreams. And thank God wrestling's not one of them. It's a hard life to live.
Yes.
It's hard to be on the road, you know, as a young lady, 20 years old getting into this, you cut off your friends, you cut off your
Hmm.
family, you cut off your social life, that becomes your family. And that was something that I was really happy with because I had the passion for it.
Right.
If you don't have the passion for it, it could be a very, very lonely, hard life. Plus, you get
Right.
the hell out of your body.
Yeah. It's so funny when I ask people in the business about like, are your children interested? Half the time, if the kids aren't already doing it, which a lot of them are, and a lot of them are in it now, you have your Braun Breakers and the people that, come up in it. If they're not, they go, no, they have no interest. And thank God. And that's exactly what you said, which is so funny because that just shows like it's such a hard business to be in and such a hard life to have. So I feel like sometimes parents are like, oh, I like that they follow my footsteps. And they're like, thank God they have no interest in it whatsoever because
I
they're
don't
like, I know what it's like. And I don't want them to have to go through it.
know. And it's funny too, because like my mother, God rest her soul, she would always say to me, you're going to feel this when you're 40
Hmm.
from the bumps because she
Yeah,
would
yeah.
watch the show and she would like freak out, right?
Oh,
My
yeah.
dad loved it. My dad would come to the shows. My mom,
I
no,
love
she
that.
would never come to the shows because she's this little Italian woman who would say the rosary for me every day because she knew I was going to get
I
hurt.
love her.
And every time
Yeah.
I'd come home with like something wrong, like when I broke oh my God, forget about it. She
Yeah.
freaking out.
Right.
I told you this was going to happen. And she always said, when you're 40, you're going to feel it. You're a rock star when you're 20. No, you don't want to hear it, right?
100%. Right.
52, can't barely get out of bed. I got rigor mortis when I'm getting, I mean, it's ridiculous how bad of pain that I feel. So she was right. Mom's always right.
I know.
Even though you don't want
It's
to hear
true.
it, my mother was always right. And
Ugh.
I used to be like, get out of here. But
Yeah, you're like invincible in your 20s. Believe
oh
me.
my God.
I'm in low 30s and I can't even like I have a hangover and I'm done for the day now. When I'm like 25, I was drinking for like 4 days straight, like
Me
in
too,
college, chilling. Like
girl.
it's a different world. So I couldn't imagine getting in a ring and taking bumps and the next day just like bouncing up and being like good to go. Like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a different lifestyle. And when you're young, you can do it.
Yeah.
And wake up the next day and you just go. And that's why like when I watch the women wrestle these days,
Mhm.
and I'm just like, man, especially the ones who are more tiny, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
their bodies like bend over backwards when they take, I'm like, oh man, they're gonna feel that later. I know they're gonna feel it. And it's horrible, but they're so good.
Yeah.
And it's not gonna bother them now, but it's gonna creep up on them.
They'll look back as like a legend on it and be like, wow, I was so young, I didn't realize. And then like they're 50 and they're going to the Hall of Fame and they can't get up. So it's
You just
it's
wait
one of
from
the
your seat. You said, thank you.
thank you so much for bringing me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh
I
my
have my
God.
walker with me. No, I'm just
That's all
kidding.
right, man. Whatever gets you through the day.
Before I let you go,
Yes.
I need to hear, like, tell me like your most shocking or like funniest ECW story, something on the road, like something that crazy that happened. Like I always feel like you guys have some of the best stories ever. When I talk to Bully, when I talk to Tommy, like you guys have crazy stories. So
well, there's one I always tell, but I don't want to tell that one because I've told it so many times. There
yeah.
was one time, I'll include Tommy.
Okay.
We were traveling together, and he remembers way more than I do. I know it. I don't remember certain things, but I do remember that this one trip we put, I don't know if it was like 700 miles on the car for this. I mean, we drove for hours and hours, and we started to like hallucinate as we were driving. And I remember saying, I just saw a pig. I just saw a pig run across the road, and he pooped in a shoe. And he looked at me and he goes, I think I saw a pig. And I was like, you didn't see a pig. And then we were just like seeing stuff, random things, because we were driving.
Delusional.
Yeah, it was like the old cartoons where you need the water and you're in the desert and there's a mirage. It's a mirage. Like, we were seeing all of this stuff, and we pulled up to the hotel at like 7:15 in the morning and had a show like later on that day. But it was just, we were tripping, and we weren't on drugs. We didn't do drugs. Like I was one of the ones, I know Tommy didn't do drugs. I didn't do drugs. We weren't part of that scene, but we were just hallucinating, seeing things on it was just a mess. It was such a trippy experience. And it was just
so scary.
It was scary, but I mean, I don't even remember where we were going, but certain things were flashing on the road, and I was like, did you see that guy?
My God.
And he's like, I think I did. And I was like, you didn't see that guy.
Thank goodness you got there safely, because if I was seeing things in the road while I was driving, I would be swerving
crazy. And then, we got there, like I said, it was like 700 miles or 1,000 miles in the car. I don't remember this. It was the longest stretch we ever drove.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous, and we were exhausted. And I just remember hitting that bed. But then I think we had to get up and we had a show that night. Which,
because it doesn't stop. Like it's crazy. He still is on the road doing a bunch of stuff all the time. He'll always call me when he's driving, and I'm like, how do you still do it? Like,
he wants to die in the ring.
I know.
That was his dream.
Tommy Dreamer's dream.
Can you dream a little bigger? Like dying in the ring. Like,
also, why is dying in part of your dream? Like, aren't dreams supposed to be like? Why is that even in the conversation?
He's a dreamer, and he's
a crazy person.
He's a special.
He calls me Crazy Gabby, and I call him Crazy Tommy, because I'm like, you're crazy. And I think it's because he's just been in this business so long. I think you almost have to be crazy to be a part of this business in some ways.
Well, there's levels of crazy.
Yes.
Like I am at the bottom of the crazy totem pole. I am not as crazy as some are out of their freaking minds. I'm not going to name names, but
name them all. Let's make it break news. No, I'm just kidding.
That's why I won't write a book, because I'm not here to heal people. I'm here to spread love and joy.
Yes.
But Nova, Mike Bucci, my friend, always tells me we're the normal ones.
Yeah.
We're the ones that came out of this alive and made it and have normal lives.
That's so funny.
And he's always like, this MFer did this, and this one did this, and this, but we're the normal ones. And I'm like, well, we're almost normal. You're in the business, so there's something not normal about you, but you're normal out of the crazies. You're the most uncrazy to be in wrestling. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm one of the more sound.
You're the most uncrazy of the crazies, is how we'll say it, I guess. You're a good kind of crazy. You're like my kind of crazy. Like you know what I mean? Like
I like to have a good time.
Yeah.
That's my crazy. Like I don't drink at home. Like I'm not the type to go upstairs and like crack open. No. But when I'm on the road, I'll have a cocktail or two. Because
what do you drink? What's your drink of choice?
Gosh, I drink Fireball.
Oh my God. Interesting.
I'm nuts. I like Fireball on the rocks, and then I ask them to put a little grenadine in it.
Wow. I mean, I would try that with you. I take shots of Fireball, but I drink tequila. That's all I drink.
Oh, so I tried tequila one time straight and I almost
Mhm.
died. I don't like the taste.
I love tequila because it's an upper. So like vodka, I can't drink because it's a downer, and like vodka makes me unhappy. Like I'm not happy when I drink vodka. Like even if
Really?
it's a nice cocktail, like whatever, it just makes me angry for some reason.
Oh,
Tequila just makes me happy. Like yes, it's just a happy.
you
It's like a
drink it
warm.
straight?
No, I'll drink it with like I usually will do like tequila soda with like a bunch of lime, or tequila ginger ale is also very good. And like in the summer I do tequila pineapple because I like a little splash of pineapple with it.
Too. I'll have, if we ever meet again, I will try that with you if you will try a fireball.
Fireball. I don't mind Fireball. I take shots of it though. So I'll
Yeah,
do it on
but
the rocks with you.
yeah, on the rocks with like some grenadine in it. It's really
I,
good.
I'm down. And then
Feel like a lady.
we'll be our own kind of crazy, which is the good kind of crazy.
That's the
Like
crazy I am. My
that's
my
I'm a
cocktail
fan.
crazy. Yeah.
I'm a fan. And then we'll drink until we start seeing pigs across the road.
Pooping in shoes. I'm telling you, I saw it. I don't care what anyone says. I
Listen,
saw it.
I
It was
believe you.
there.
I'm also dying at your accent coming out so strong right now.
Damn
Like
it.
it's
I don't have
amazing.
an accent. Why?
The way you say out and like open, like your O's, you have an accent.
I did open
No, out. When you said
out
out, I don't know. You were talking before about you don't drink, but
Now
when
I'm
you like,
conscious of it. Oh, when I go out.
yeah, even just when you sang oh, you said oh, you didn't say
Oh,
oh. Like I'm from Jersey, so I don't think I have an accent, but people kind of tell me they hear it when I get angry or
yeah.
passionate about something.
Okay. Well,
But you'll see. I'm not angry yet. Maybe you'll never see me angry.
I don't
So
want to. I want a happy Gabby, not an
yeah,
angry
I'm
Gabby.
always happy.
Yeah. Be happy. Life's too
Thank
short.
you so much for joining. And this was so much fun. Like, we almost went an hour. I could talk to you like forever. I'm
I would
sorry I
love.
took you so long.
No, you're fine. Can I just plug my podcast? Is
Plug
that
it
okay?
away. Of
Um,
100%.
Eyes Up Here with Francine is on iHeartRadio. I work for iHeart.
Amazing.
Also Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, and also ECW Diva Francine on YouTube.
Okay.
We have a YouTube channel as well.
Amazing.
And yeah, and socials ECW Diva Francine. All
Love
my
it.
socials.
Love it so much. We're going to put a bunch of stuff on socials too. So we'll put the links in for you and everything.
Yes,
like
and I
that.
will retweet, or what is it? Repost. I don't know. They changed it. Retweet, repost.
Well, now it's X and not
They
Twitter.
do.
So I'm like, can we still say retweet? Because I do,
Yeah.
but I
I still call
repost.
it Twitter sometimes.
Yeah, because X sounds insane.
Sounds like X, like mean.
It's like a movie, like X. Like I just feel like it's
Oh yeah,
X rated.
Oh. Well, that's a whole nother
That's where my mind goes, I
That's
guess.
a whole nother thing right there.
That's
But,
the crazy Gabby.
that crazy Gabby. Yeah.
But thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure talking to you. I hope next time we'll be able to do it in person and have some drinks.
Yes, if you come to well, it's far, but are you coming to Vegas?
Yes, I'll be in Vegas.
Girl. Yeah.
And I've never been to Vegas. It's gonna be my first time in Vegas.
Oh,
I know. It's gonna be bad, so bad that it's good. Do you know what I mean?
Let's go everywhere.
Oh, I'm down. You could be my guide. I've never been, so
Tuesday.
we'll have so much fun.
I'm there till Tuesday.
I mean, maybe I'll stay till Tuesday.
You should.
You never know. Oh, I'm
It'll be
excited.
fun.
Okay, cool. We'll
Yay.
definitely hang.
All
Thank you
right.
so much. I had so
Thank
much
you for having
fun.
Yes.
And everybody listening, I hope you guys have a safe and amazing weekend. I will be back next week, and happy Thanksgiving next week. We'll put out a show right before that, but it's going to be Thanksgiving. I can't wait to eat a bunch of food. And yeah, until then, LYMNB, love you guys most. No backs.